And now it's my pleasure to introduce our next presenter on today's Security EcoCast, welcoming Matt Keil, Director of Product Marketing at Cequence Security. Take it away, Matt.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for taking some time to listen to our story. So I am with Cequence Security. Today's topic, in order to talk about and link it to upleveling your security posture, I'm going to discuss what we think the top 5 API security considerations are. So let's get started. When we look at the use of APIs, particularly in today's digital ecosystem, the use of APIs has exploded, right? They're used for microservices communications. They're used to transfer information from your mobile device. When you think about a mobile device, there's really not a lot of not a lot of application running on the mobile device itself. It's typically using an API or a set of APIs to communicate back to a cloud-based infrastructure or a data center-based infrastructure. Same thing with web forms these days. It used to be that a web application was a monolithic application. Not anymore. Now, when you're filling in those registration forms and the login information, it's typically communicating to a set of APIs to a back-end system. So there's a few examples of the different types of applications that are APIs listed here in the cloud. Suffice it to say that APIs are really exploding. And as a proof point, I put together a few numbers here: 23,038, 83%, and 66%. What they are is they represent the number of APIs published in Programmable Web's directory. Now, this number varies on a day-to-day basis as APIs are published and removed, but it represents a significant number of APIs. These are, when you think about folks that have just gone to Programmable Web to publish the APIs, that's the tip of the iceberg. Really, the number of APIs that are out there in use is probably in the hundreds of thousands. In a survey done by Akamai, based on the CDN traffic that they'd seen, they put together some interesting information. 83% of the traffic that they're seeing now is API-based, as opposed to HTML-based. This, to me, is a staggering statistic. It might be a little skewed towards the Akamai traffic itself, but even so, it is a telling statistic around the use of APIs. And again, to re-emphasize my comment earlier about your mobile devices or devices in general, 66% of the 83% of the traffic is API based. So really emphasizes and hammers home the significance of APIs these days. Another quick statistic to emphasize the web and mobile, from a SmartBear report, they're an API tool set, if you will. They talk a little bit about the stateless characteristics of APIs and how it improves the mobile experience, as well as accelerates the expansion of your ecosystem. Now, the challenge, of course, is that APIs, much like anything on the web, becomes a target for an attack. Particularly if you're an organization that has a customer login where there are assets of value hidden or stored behind that customer login or that registration page. Retailers have loyalty points. Airline has airline miles. Financial services, yours and my retirement funds are hidden behind that. The list goes on and on. So as you and I are logging in, at the same time, attackers are using stolen credentials, automated toolkits, and compromised infrastructure to launch anonymous, very highly automated bot attacks with the end goal of achieving fraud or theft, right? If your or my retirement funds are stolen, that's in our eyes, that's theft. In the financial services eyes, that's financial fraud. So there it is. The terms are oftentimes used interchangeably. And here's a couple of proof points around the use of the abuse of APIs. In October of 2019, we actually discovered a vulnerability in both Zoom and WebEx. You've all heard about the Zoom bombing. Well, this is something that was discovered back in October of 2019, where the numeric meeting IDs can be automated and enumerated. So if you're not using passwords, then what happens is that numeric ID can be found because of the exposed API. A attacker could conceivably join that meeting and then surreptitiously view or listen in. Now, the attacker would show up in the meeting in the meeting user interface, so the moderator would be able to see that person. But if you have a large group of users, you might not take the time to validate that user. Again, this was something we discovered specifically around both the WebEx and the Zoom conferencing APIs. Both of them have been addressed and acknowledged by Zoom and WebEx, so this is not new or surprising information. The other example that we've found that is a financial services customer, where the attackers deconstructed the mobile application to discover the login APIs. They then were able to launch an automated attack, as I mentioned, using the credentials and attack toolkits that are available on the dark web. When they achieved an account takeover and they were able to get access to the funds, they would automatically transfer those funds over what is known as OFX, the Open Financial Exchange. It is the documented and industry standard protocol, if you will, for transferring funds in the financial services industry. And so this too is another example of how APIs can be abused in multiple ways. The first way is the mobile application. The second way is via the the OFX environment. So, now we've talked a little bit about the risks around APIs. Now, if you switch gears and you begin researching the API security, it really is fragmented. API security is unfortunately a very, very generic and broad term. And so if you start doing a little work on the web to find something to address your needs, you're going to find a lot of different segments, if you will, in this market. A few of them are listed here. API gateways are the ones that are going to pop up most often. Common vendors there is obviously going to be AWS API gateway, MuleSoft, Kong, Apigee from Google. The list goes on and on and on. The thing about these folks is they do great management and visibility, but most of them do not address the automated attack risks that we talked about previously. You've got web application firewalls that lack a native API. Most of them lack native API understanding and they struggle to detect the automated attack components. They do a decent job of trying to find application vulnerabilities, which is their long-standing role in the security ecosystem. Service mesh and ingress controllers are going to address a little bit more of the policy aspect of it and the visibility aspect. And then there's the tactical API security products that are addressing more of the development side of the security risks, coding errors and out of spec API publications that might introduce vulnerabilities that would lead to data loss, but they don't really address automated attack elements. So let's talk a little bit about what I think the top 5 things that you should look for in to protect your APIs from automated attacks. The first one is really to understand your exposure. Visibility. There's the old adage that knowledge is power. Understanding and knowing that you have 52 or 50 or 60 or 100 even APIs exposed to the public is the first step in trying to rein them in. And this really is a problem. When you think about the way in which organizations have moved from monolithic applications to distributed applications, and they've reorganized their development infrastructure, their development teams to support that. So they too have been decentralized. The move to the public cloud, all of these things are really enabling developers and business groups to move more quickly. But at the same time, we are seeing again the resurgence of shadow APIs. A couple of years back, it was shadow SaaS applications that the CASB vendors might have addressed. Previously, it was the shadow cloud usage, folks establishing the Amazon, the AWS accounts outside of the IT department's purview. So that too is shadow IT. So we're seeing shadow APIs being happening again in our customer environments. To the API, outside of knowing the APIs, you really do need to understand what they're doing. What are they exposing? Do they introduce conformance and compliance risks? And really fully understanding and trying to make sure that everyone follows a standardized API deployment process. This is, we hear time and time again from our customers that knowing what APIs are out there is invaluable. And don't take our word for it. If you do a little research on your own, some of the industry research that you see from folks like Gartner or other industry analysts are going to show you the exact same statistic. Visibility is of paramount importance when you talk about API security. Avoid silo-based approaches. When you think about the security stack that you have, time and time again, we try and recommend that you avoid point products to address the problem of the day. Look at a broader set of security offerings that, in this particular case, we're talking about automated attacks. So look to make sure that the protection against automated attacks not only can protect your APIs, but protects your web and mobile applications with the exact same set of security functionality. Some of the things that you'll find out there is that depending on how the security is delivered, you might have inconsistent security. For example, if the offering requires client-side instrumentation or application instrumentation or a mobile SDK, then that means that the security is going to be inconsistent when you try and apply it to the API side of things. Remember, APIs are stateless, and one of the advantages of the stateless nature of an API is the entire transaction is sent and sent across to the server, and then the communication comes back. Whereas HTML or a mobile application might require a longer set of back and forth interactions to transfer that data. Eliminate friction, right? I've been in the security industry for quite a long time, nearly 20 years, and security teams are often viewed as Dr. No, right? There's always been friction between the application teams and the security teams. And so what you don't want to do is add to that friction, particularly nowadays where lots of organizations are moving towards more iterative, agile-like development processes and methodologies. So security needs to be ingrained and partnered with, as opposed to confrontational. So if you're going out and you're trying to find a security offering around your APIs, what you don't want to do is, our recommendation is don't force additional steps or additional new applications or that might onto the development teams that might inject further delay, might inject delay into their development process or additional steps into that development process. You want to make it as frictionless as possible, encouraging partnership between the two teams. The black box approach. Avoid the black box approach. Yeah, when you're getting hammered with millions of transactions against a login, that is not only causing user disruption, but perhaps it's increasing the cloud consumption beyond what you had forecasted and making the application unstable. The last thing that you want to do is have to get on the phone with a managed service and try and figure out what the problem is. Data at your fingertips really is what you want to have when you select an API security offering. Being able to manipulate the data, view the data in real time, full access to that data, along with the policies that are in place, being able to modify those policies. They're all things that are very important when it comes to protecting your public-facing applications and ultimately protecting your customer data, right? If you're a financial services organization, then you're protecting my assets. Same thing, same concept around retail for loyalty points or airline miles. Same thing for social media or applications. You're protecting the reputation from fake likes and reputation manipulation. And then the last of the 5 consideration is always look at the broader picture from meaning look at the entire security posture. How can the API security offering that you're looking at enhance your security posture? Meaning, can it share data? Can it ingest data? Can you bring data in to enhance your accuracy or your efficacy for protecting your APIs? Can you export data to the fraud teams, to Splunk, or some other SIM or log analysis tool in order to improve and enhance your overall security posture? These are certainly some considerations that I would we strongly recommend, not only for if you're looking at Cequence, but any other security offering, really. All right. So a little bit about us. So we are, this is the only product-oriented slide that I have in the deck. I wanted to keep it fairly educational. Cequence is in the application security business. It is an AI-based offering, meaning what we do is we take and analyze your traffic using several hundred ML-based models built from customer interactions over the last 4 years. And we analyze and we are able to look at the transactions and determine if the intent is malicious, giving you a confidence score that you can then take action on. So we are agentless, so there is no agent that is required. So that protection that we can deliver is going to be consistent, whether it's looking at a set of APIs that is being hammered, or whether it's looking at the web form that is being abused. The functionality that we have, as you see at the top there, is bot defense, API security, and then application firewalling capability, doing the traditional vulnerability protection, and as well as the prevention of highly automated attacks that might result in fraud or and/or theft. The next thing that you could do is we are deployed as a SaaS offering, or we can be deployed in your data center or cloud. So very flexible container-based architecture. We have a free trial that is running currently. You can easily sign up for the free trial there. Just hit the website, Bot Defense SaaS free trial, and fill in a form, and we'll get back in touch with you to determine exactly how much traffic we might need to look at in order to execute the free trial and spin something up for you. With that, I'm going to open it up for questions. I'll leave this slide up here for you so that you can take a look at it.
Great presentation. Thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate you taking time and making it insightful and educational there. So really cool stuff. Let's see. We've got some questions coming in from the audience. I'm going to go ahead and share that link to the audience in the questions box, just so that we can bring up this whole question. What additional information would you like about the Cequence security solution? So the first question they're asking is, how is Cequence deployed and architected? Is this a SaaS? Is it on site? Or how does that work?
Sure. I touched on that briefly, but let's go into a little more detail. It is a distributed architecture on the back end. So there's going to be the analytics engine as well as some traffic sensing elements. So it is delivered as a containerized application that then expands into the different modules depending on where it's deployed. So it can be deployed in your data center. We have customers that are deploying in their own private VPCs on AWS. Currently, we have a customer that's working on a Google Cloud deployment right now. And then we have a SaaS offering. The SaaS offering is exactly as you might imagine. We manage the infrastructure. So all of the functionality that I just described is managed in our Bot Defense Cloud. You have full control as the customer over the policies, all of the data, and so on, just as you would, say, in a Salesforce.com environment. So we're gonna what we're doing there is we are removing the operational burden that is associated with deploying any type of software or security offering, allowing you to focus on the security aspects of protecting your web applications as well as your the associated APIs.
Nice, nice. Okay, I like that. And so another question here related is, what's the licensing model?
Mm-hmm. Sure. It is a tiered-based licensing model, and it's based on the number of transactions we are inspecting. So we're not going to look at your entire, all of your web traffic. What we do is we sit with you and using either your load balancer or a switch or the bot defense functionality, we're going to selectively direct the login application or the registration application that you need to, that is being targeted for the by the automated attacks. So we take that traffic and the number of transactions that we inspect and analyze is how it's licensed. So it starts at a million transactions a day, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not. And it goes up to a billion with a B. It's a tiered model. So we have several customers who are currently analyzing 1 billion transactions per day. So it's not uncommon to get that high. And they're medium-sized companies. So it's not uncommon to see folks analyze that level of traffic.
Wow, 1 billion transactions a day. That's amazing. I want to let everyone know that I put that link to get the 30-day trial of Cequence Bot Defense. I put that link there in the questions box, so make sure you check that out. Next question, what's the one thing that sets Cequence apart from others comparable solutions?
The one thing that sets us apart really is it's agentless. Meaning our competitors all require you to put JavaScript in every single web page, or they require you to use an SDK for mobile application. And this is in order to collect the telemetry that they need to determine whether the intent of the transaction is malicious or legitimate. We don't, and what that means is that they cannot deliver the same consistent security functionality when they're protecting the APIs that are getting hammered. Because we use the ML based approach, machine learning based approach, we're not requiring you to inject any JavaScript into your web applications. We're not requiring the use of an SDK, and so we can analyze that traffic consistently for and deliver a security policy that is consistent for all three types of application traffic: API-based, mobile-based, as well as web-based.
Nice, okay. Another question that came in, they're asking, how is Cequence security going to help me with DevOps, my DevOps methodology? Can you talk a little bit about that? Does that fit in?
Sure. So what I just described, that if you're looking at something, one of our competitors, your DevOps team is going to be required to put JavaScript in every single web page, or they're going to be required to use an SDK. Because we don't require you to do that, what we're doing is we are sitting in your looking at the application, the public-facing application traffic. So as your DevOps teams add new features to the public-facing applications, or they roll out new applications themselves, we're going to automatically be able to see that traffic without injecting any friction into that DevOps process, right? And so the QA cycles that the JavaScript requires, or the update cycles that the mobile SDK might require, are completely eliminated from your DevOps responsibilities. And so the DevOps teams are allowed to focus on developing and enhancing your application, and not worrying about third-party applications that have to be brought in and building cycles around that, their updates, building schedules around the third-party update cycles, and so on. So the term that we use is our security is baked in to your application development workflow. Development doesn't have to do anything to gain the benefits of our security.
Very nice, very nice. So if people click on the link, I want to tell everyone I brought the link back up again. It's on the screen, and it's actually clickable if you just mouse over it and click on it. They go to that page, they fill out the form. Can you kind of walk through what the next steps would be after that?
Sure. Because the way that the SaaS offering is deployed is you are given a private environment, so you're given an instance of our bot defense in our cloud environment. So we have to know how much traffic might be analyzed in order to spin up the resources behind the scenes to begin that trial. So fill out the form. One of our engineers will give you a ring to chat a little bit about your traffic, the traffic you might want to inspect. And then we can get the trial running within about 24 hours after that initial phone call.
Right, excellent. Well, it sounds very easy. Sounds like a great solution. It could help a lot of companies out there with their security. Matt, thank you so much for being on the event today.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for hosting us.